Bear with me, folks. This is going to be the beginning of Obama Administration Scandals 2011. There is such a retarded amount of stuff to go through here. I am going to separate this into numerous parts because apparently there was just an unsurmountable amount of corruption that occurred in 2011. As I progress, I'm sure I will find even more so, but as of now, it is quite painstaking just to collect it all. But I will begin. January 2011. 11 January, IRS begins 3-day on-site audit of the Engelbeck's business and tax returns. Catherine Engelbeck of Texas has applied for tax-exempt status for True the Vote 6 months earlier. January 25th, first public disclosures about Operation Fast and Furious. Obama and Holder's Justice Department denies that guns have been deliberately allowed to walk into Mexico. Altogether, about 2,000 firearms were bought by straw purchases during Fast and Furious. These included AK-47 variants, Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifles, sounds fun, 38 caliber revolvers, and FN-57 389. I don't exactly know what that is, but I will find out. Have been recovered in the United States, and 276 have been recovered in Mexico. That's about 650 weapons that have been recovered altogether out of the 2,000. That means 1,400 or so weapons are still in Mexico in illegal straw purchasers' hands. Wonderful. As it states here, the rest remained on the streets unaccounted for. The total number of recovered firearms to this date is 710. Most guns went to the Sinaloa drug cartel, while others made their way to the El Tío and La Familia Michoacana crime organizations. 26th of January, U.S. Department of Treasury, Office of Foreign Assets Control designates the Hassan Ayash Exchange Company and the Elijah Exchange Company as significant foreign narcotics traffickers under the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act, related to their roles in the money laundering activities of Ian Juma, a Lebanese narcotics trafficker linked to Hezbollah. Joma is also designated as a significant foreign narcotics trafficker. Wonderful. So they found out who they are. Acting as a whistleblower tip, Grassley wrote a letter to the ATF acting director requesting information about ATF-sanctioned sale of hundreds of firearms to straw purchasers. The letter mentioned a number of allegations that walked guns were used in the fight that killed the border agent, Brian Terry. A second letter from Grassley on January 31st accused the ATF of targeting whistleblowers. I don't doubt it at all, knowing Obama's usual tactics. End of January. Justice Department persuades a federal grand jury in Washington to subpoena Mike Levine of Fox News to learn confidential sources after reporting that several Somali Americans were secretly indicted in Minneapolis for joining an al-Qaeda-linked group in Somalia. In other words, the Justice Department persuades a grand jury to go after a reporter for his confidential sources. Now, doesn't that sound kind of bad? If they're confidential, they want to stay confidential so that you can continue receiving information. That would be something that would be of utmost concern, right? The FBI does that all the time. February 2011. 2nd of February, Senator Grassley's investigation interviews a whistleblower. 4th of February, Office of Department Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Phoenix, and the ATF headquarters, Roland White, sends a response to Senator Grassley regarding his 2 January letters. White claims that the ATF sanctioned or otherwise knowingly allowed the sale of assault weapons to straw purchaser who then transported them to Mexico are false. ATF makes every effort to I'm sorry. Interdict weapons that have been purchased illegally and prevent their transportation to Mexico. Well, we all know that's false, folks. So, Weich needs to most likely be tried for treason because Americans died because of this, along with many others. February 10th. The U.S. Department of Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network identifies Lebanese Canadian Bank as a financial institution of primary money laundering concern, a result of U.S. financial institutions ending their relationship with LCB, including LCB from sending money to the United States. The finding was based on FinCEN. Again, that's the U.S. Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's a mouthful. Determination that LCB was used by drug traffickers and money launderers around the world, including at least one narco trafficker who provided financial support to Hezbollah. LCB had permitted Hezbollah-related entities to conduct massive cash transactions, in some cases as much as 260,000 and 200 million Lebanese pounds per day, without disclosing the source or purpose of the money. Hassaniyash Exchange was LCB's main source of U.S. currency. LCB allowed Elisa companies to conduct large cash transactions through the bank without significant or sufficient oversight nor disclosures about the sources and purpose of the cash. 11 February. CBS Cheryl Atkinson breaks news about Fast and Furious on the CBS Evening News. 14th February. Maroon Saad, charged in the Southern District of New York with participating in an international drug conspiracy in West Africa and conspiring to aid the Taliban. Saad is a member of the Free Patriotic Movement, a Lebanese Christian organization closely allied with Hezbollah, and his provided extensive services to Hezbollah members. Engaged in narcotics trafficking and bulk cash smuggling in West Africa, Saad is a close associate with Osama Sahad, who relied on Saad to pay bribes to release money couriers arrested for smuggling cash through West Africa. Saad and Salhad are subjects of the DEA's Project Cassandra operation. 15 February. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent Jamie Zapata killed on Texas-Mexican border. The gun used to kill Zapata was purchased in the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolis, Texas, outside the area of responsibility for the ATF Phoenix Field Division, which conducted Fast and Furious, and then smuggled into Mexico. Investigators to suspect the Obama administration was conducting a Texas-based operation similar to Fast and Furious. Another of the guns involved in Zapata shooting, traced to the Baytown crew, shows the guns were not allowed to walk during the surveillance that began June 7th, 2010. On August 20th, 2010, a purchaser received a rifle later recovered in the Zapata ambush and sent it with 9 others to Mexico. The warrant for the purchaser's arrest was issued in February 14, 2011, the day before Zapata was shot. Interesting how that works, right? Someone drops an arrest warrant the day before, a random dude dies, and that random dude just happens to be a Border Patrol agent, and the guy who dies just happens to be, a gun trafficker. Interesting. On January 30th, 2012, far in the future, the purchaser of one of the guns in Zapata's killing, who claimed to be working with Los Zetas cartel in illegally exporting at least 44 weapons purchased through straw buyers, was sentenced to 100 months in prison. Okay. So about 8 years in prison. Did he kill anyone? I wonder. Did he aid in killing? I think he should have gotten at least third-degree murder charges. Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi indicted on sex charges. Spicy. 23 February. Italian Foreign Minister expressed concern that the amount of Libyan refugees trying to reach Italy might reach between 200,000 and 300,000 people. 25th February. Hillary Rodham Clinton announces the suspension of operations of the Libyan embassy in Washington. 26th February. Hillary Clinton directs efforts to remove all U.S. embassy personnel from Tripoli and orders the closing of the embassy. Hillary Clinton makes a series of calls to her foreign counterparts to help secure passage of UNSC 1970 imposing sanctions on Muammar Gaddafi and his family and refers Gaddafi to and aids the ICC. Sure. 27 February. Transitional National Council announces the city of Benghazi. Its purpose is to act as the political face of the revolution. Spokesman made clear that the Libyan Transitional National Committee was not a provisional government and added that its newly formed council was not in contact with foreign governments and did not want them to intervene. He later said that the airstrike purportedly sanctioned by the UNSC 1973 would not be considered a foreign intervention. Vladimir Putin later reported Russian abstention from the UNSC 1973 in private talks with Hillary Clinton in no way sanctioned NATO use of aggressive force. February 28th. Hillary Clinton travels to Geneva, Switzerland for consultations with European partners on Libya. She gives a major address in which she says it's time for Gaddafi to go. Works to secure suspension of Libya from membership in the Human Rights Council. Eric Holder requests that the Justice Department's Office of the Inspector General begin an investigation of Operation Fast and Furious. I'll begin next time with March 2011. Thank you very much. Stay beautiful.